Hello, everyone. Welcome to TV. Today's episode is about conspiracy theories. Yay, tinfoil hat. So if you want to do that, we can watch the History Channel together. With me today is Arj.
Hell yeah. AKA Dutch Liam 84, of course.
We have Blue, who is currently looking for his microphone, so I'll introduce him for him, I guess. Hello, everyone. I am an alcoholic. We have Bear here. There he is.
Yeah.
And of course, we have a guy, Colin, who is hosting the call and doing all the cool behind the scenes shit. If you guys hear him, but if you can, say hello, Colin.
I can't. Need to switch headsets.
I guess he can't. Well, no, we're still waiting for Wumble, and I don't know where Sound of Silence or Yoshimo are. But with that, do we have any news stuff today, guys, or no, or what?
No.
It's been very quiet from me lately.
Yeah, for me as well.
We could talk about me being on a hit list. I
Yeah.
guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Lewis, how does it feel to be on a hit list of being a leftist atheist?
Well, I guess it's pretty cool. I can give everyone a little bit of background information. Recently at my university, they found or the university was given, or they found, or I don't know the exact detail, they hit list of leaders of liberal, leftist, biased organizations. I was them, and so for the last 2 days, I've had a police escort. Apparently, the university's taken it fairly seriously. So that's always fun. I never thought I would be so important enough to merit someone threatening my life. So I feel pretty honored by that.
Sounds like Blue's on.
No, it's me.
Oh.
Fucking adverts on
Where am I?
on Block TV for the Jurassic Park Blu-ray trilogy. It's actually an advert that I want.
Hello, Blue Juggernaut.
Hello.
Hey, we have Blue on.
Ooh, we have an alcoholic present.
2 now.
Yeah. So now we're all, since he showed, we're finally ready to start the intervention. Lou, we're very worried about you. Your drinking is a problem. No?
Yeah.
Everyone here loves you, Blue.
Yeah.
Yes, and list the host in the title. I'll put them. Am I not logged in? Yeah, I am. So why can't I edit? Okay, so on the call, I'll put that. So you guys talk to yourselves all.
I kind of missed that.
Oh, I was saying that I'm putting. Oh, God damn it, Chris, you fucked up what I was writing.
I'm sorry.
Oh, well. So what I was saying is that... No, there's Blue. Yeah.
Yay.
So, what I was saying is that, yeah, so there was a hit list, so that's really cool, I think. I think it's really cool that I'm up on the level of Thunderfoot and other atheists who have merited death threats.
Yes, if anyone would like Lewis's personal address, feel free to call into the show.
It doesn't really matter, because I've stock dropped myself on numerous occasions, because I personally don't give a shit. Come at me, bros. I'll do it right now, live on TV if you want, or right on the Block TV. Who wants my address? Thumbs up if you want my address.
How about the combination to your safe?
Boom.
I'm not giving you the combination to my safe.
What?
No. You can kill me, but don't take my money or my
How
jugal.
about your social security number?
That I won't drop, because that will also mess up with my livelihood. But if you want to kill me, you can have my address if you really want it.
Am I in your will?
No, you're not in my will. Fuck you, Blue. Why would I
Do you
your
have a credit card?
Maybe.
Our concern for you has heightened.
Yeah.
Fuck,
And apparently I'm the only one who wants your address.
I'm like Jeff Bridges in Fearless. I don't give a fuck. Except,
Yes, the lady with the sexy accent tonight went off to do something and hasn't returned.
Yeah. but we hope she...
Oh, so she'll be here soon?
We don't know. She was supposed to be here before the show, but may have gotten tied up with something.
Yeah. Yeah, and she
Or
still
by
has
someone.
some troubles
So let's
with
be
her
talking about
internet connection.
conspiracy theories. What's y'all's favorite conspiracy theory? Or one that you guys may actually have believed on, or that you still may believe, at least in some part? Anyone want to start, or am I the only one who...
The one I hate the most are the 9/11 truthers.
Ugh.
Who
Yeah.
chose the title on the blog TV site? Lafayette has to have a police escort because he's so badass.
Well, it says right there, yes, Bear put it up.
I'd have thought it'd been the opposite way around. If you're a badass, you wouldn't need security. You'd just do it yourself.
Yeah, just cock your gun
Exactly.
and start shooting them bitches.
I used to be a 9/11 truther back in the grade when I thought that, ooh, dude, it was too much.
Oh, that's
I saw
wonderful.
I saw that loose change thing back when I was a stupid... Oh, I said that I used to be a 9/11 truther back like in the 8th grade because I had just seen that loose change video and I'm like, oh my god. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
an impressionable stupid young kid, so I'm like, oh my god, all their stuff makes complete sense. But then I got older and I'm like, oh wait, all that stuff is bullshit. And then I learned better.
I take it we're live now.
Yes. We've been live for a while, Blue. Where have you been?
What time did you start?
8 p.m. your time.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Jesus Christ.
Let's
Blue
Have
Conspiracies,
another drink and shut up.
Blue is like, what's the name of that chick who was on Charlie's Angel who recently died of like cancer?
Oh, I know what you're talking
Farrah
about.
Fawcett.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's kind of like her. He
Who?
doesn't. He is most of the time. He's always fucked up.
But yeah, I've heard like the gamut of things. Like my favorite still is planes didn't hit the Twin Towers. They were rockets that had special holographic technology to make them look like planes.
Oh my god, really?
I mean,
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's actually part of the 9/11 truther.
I mean, I guess the only plausible aspect to a 9/11 or to the government's involvement in the 9/11 conspiracy theory, which is completely unprovable unless someone in the government fessed up to it, would be that the government knew about it, but they did nothing. Similar to what people think about Pearl Harbor. You know, that the government might have known about it, but that they chose to do nothing because it furthered their agenda. Except, like I said, there's no evidence for that, so it's also silly to believe that. One that I still kind of believe, or not even believe, but the one that I see the most, the one that I'm most interested in is, what's the name of that one? The one at the JFK assassination.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there's just so much shady information about it. I mean, yes, a lot of it could be attributed to Lee Harvey Oswald being an idiot and choosing the worst possible way to shoot at Kennedy. But you know, he had, if he was the one who pulled the trigger, he would have a much better opportunity at shooting Kennedy from the front when he was driving up one of the streets instead of driving away from him. But that's the only one that I ever. I mean, I still accept the verified story. You know, I've read the Warren Commission report. It's ridiculously long and poorly written, but I think that I that's the one that if somebody said yes, or somebody came forward and said yes, there was the guy in the grassy knoll, or yes, the CIA was behind it, or whatever, I would be like, well, that could have. No, that's not that, you know, far from. I kind of expected that.
Yeah. It's run by the government, man.
The moon landing one, I think, is really funny.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it's Buzz Aldrin, or one of the first astronauts to actually land on the moon, was asked once whether or not they had faked it. I think he sucker punched the guy.
Oh yeah, that was Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. I think
Yeah,
there was an episode of Penn and Teller's Bullshit as well, that was dedicated to the moon landing. And there was this guy who had written like a 200-page book with pictures and evidence that it's all one big hoax. And his best evidence was a picture of a rock on the moon that had a C on it, a C from copyright. But as it turned out, there was just a bit of dust on the lens.
No, it wasn't the C for copyright. He thought it was like a C, as in like in a prop, like a prop in a.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, he thought it was like a prop piece or something. They got a bunch of morons. Ha ha! They left they left that thing there, and they're like, it's probably just like, it's actually dust from the reproduction, because in the original, that stuff is not there. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And mad props to Colin for pulling those images.
Yeah.
Well, also not just that, but it's just so absolute to think that. I mean, it's not just that, but they never take into account the fact that the Russians were watching us. If we had bullshitted it, they would have been like, "We are calling you out on your bullshit."
Yeah.
And, yeah. Wait, that's German.
Oh. And don't forget, we found the landing sites again.
Oh yeah, you can see the landing sites from Earth with a big enough telescope.
Actually, it's a flyover. It's like a satellite. Instead of taking pictures of Earth, it's taking pictures of the moon, and they've actually found the tracks for the landing sites.
Well, not just that, but I mean, I'm saying I heard the. But you can actually see the thing from space, though. Unless I'm mistaken and somebody told me wrong. But I mean, space, from Earth, you can see the landing site with a big enough, or not even big enough, but just a moderately sized, see, there's some pictures and shit.
Oh, there's DPR Jones. Hi, DPR.
Oh, DPR.
With a great question on marine fossils from the Luna Bukaki.
That would require us going back and digging into the dirt.
Yeah.
Wasn't that what Apollo 18 was about?
That's a movie and an album by They Might Be Giants.
No, yes, I know that's a movie. Is that what the movie is about? Like they went there and they found some shit or something?
Yeah, they found aliens.
Oh, okay.
I thought they found like a giant transformer spaceship.
I think you're thinking of Transformers 3, dude. Not Apollo 18.
How about you Europeans? I mean, I've heard like the Princess Diana conspiracy theories, but are there other big ones that are still around?
Ooh, I've actually no idea. I don't really look into conspiracy theories, but if there's anyone in the chat, perhaps.
Ooh. Wait,
we're just here. We have a potential truther caller. So.
Yes, the love of God. Yes.
Yeah, please put him on.
It better not be a Poe again.
Yeah. 50%. He's Oliver.
Do we have the caller coming in?
Yep, I'm gonna talk slap him.
Boop. Hello, Mr. Derek Smith.
Say full names without permission.
Sorry, I wasn't supposed to mention your name, but we have a caller. How can we help you, sir?
Well, 9/11 was clearly an inside job.
Oh, God.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
You have to work on your accent.
Well, I'm the one who's saying for fuck's sake, because you are making fun of all of us truthers, and you've got pictures of these tinfoil hats. Now look at the way the towers fell.
Does this sound like a Poe to you? Because it sounds
is
like
a
a Poe
Poe,
to me, and I've
It is a
only
Poe.
just gotten the call.
He only just got in the call.
Hi, Wumble.
I
Yeah,
won't.
you're always fucking late, Womble.
Would you like
It's
to
like
explain
classic.
how the towers fell at free fall speed?
They
And
did.
Yeah, it's called gravity.
Well, not just that, but it wasn't free
They
fall.
didn't fall at free fall speed.
Gravity!
Gravity, you fucking retard!
Ever heard of effing gravity?
I'm well aware of the gravity. Now, the issue is that if it was actually collapsing in a pancake, right?
Is it that Brummy guy again? Do
I
we?
think this is Oliver.
No, I'm
Oh.
fucking Wales, you tart! How dare you deny me?
No. I know Welsh people, and I also know Brummies. That is a shit Welsh accent from a Brummie.
Oliver,
I've
You're
got a
from
cold,
Europe.
and even I can tell the difference now. Go away.
Or Womble, perhaps.
Welcome, Womble.
Lewis, I think it was Lewis who just asked us if we knew of any European conspiracy theories. Do you have any idea?
There's one I can think of, and it's vaguely European. It's because it's about the Titanic and the white.
Oh, that they sunk it for insurance money. Oh, well, we lost Womble.
No, we lost Oliver.
Hello.
The Womble is
No.
still online.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're
Yes.
back.
Online, you were never
Yeah.
offline.
Yeah, my headset just blipped. I knocked the cable. No, what happened? The conspiracy theory is that the White Star Liner company had a ship called the Olympic. It was basically the
Olympia.
Titanic's sister ship.
The Olympia.
Yeah, that was it. Pretty much identical. Except they brought the Olympia into dry dock about the time they're finishing off the Titanic, and they put some covers on one of the promenade areas. So that was when you could tell the difference between the two. And the conspiracy is that basically the Titanic was an insurance job that went wrong because there was lots of ships in the area, but in sort of the area that the one part of let's start again. Lots of ships not far from where the Titanic went down.
No, that's not what the conspiracy is.
I've read about. I got into conspiracy theories massively as a teenager. The conspiracy theory I read is that it was an insurance job, and that the ship sunk in the wrong place, and it wasn't the Titanic that sank; it was the Olympic. And I also read something to do with it having transporting an Egyptian sarcophagus as well, which is supposedly linked to it.
Yeah. Arian, can you please go punch Colin in the face?
Okay.
Okay, well, anyways, what I had seen was the actual conspiracy about the Titanic and the Olympia was that actually what happened a few years before the Titanic actually set sail, the Olympia, which is Titanic's sister, like Womble mentioned, had gotten into a bit of an accident when it what's the name?
That's the bit of
whatever ties it to the dock.
Or whatever, had a few bumps and it wasn't worth as much, so they decided to sink the ship that was high value. So they changed the stuff when they sunk the Titanic in inverted commas. It was really the ship that had the prang, so they got the insurance money on a brand new ship when they had the brand new ship floating around. And you can't exactly send an insurance assayer to the bottom of the ocean and expect them to come back breathing.
The Olympia was far too damaged to repair, or it would cost too much. So they basically just fixed it enough for it to be able to float, and then they sent it off as if it was the Titanic, and then that thing, or they sank that one. And
that's it. It's just my cold riddled brain is not working fully well.
Yes, which is why I would have liked it if you stopped interrupting.
Jeez.
Fight.
Anyway.
Hey, it could have been worse. I could have left my mic unmuted just then when I blew my nose.
Ew.
Oh. Aw.
So yeah, Womble, do you have any other conspiracy theories?
Can you touch on the one about Princess Diana? Because I don't know that much about her.
Oh, there's several different conspiracy theories I've heard about her.
It was supposed to be some sort of hit by the royal family because they didn't like the fact that she was getting it together with Dodie are fired, and there's stuff to do with the fact that it wasn't actually camera flashes going off. There was some sort of specific really bright flash to dazzle the driver and stuff.
Yeah, I've also heard that she was planning on getting like custody of the boys, so they wouldn't grow up to be royalty. So they wanted her killed for that reason.
They grow up to be royalty anyway. The reason being is that they are royalty.
Yeah, but that's just one of the theories I've heard. They had to get rid of her because she wanted custody because she was getting married.
I have no idea. I tend not to get too involved with stories about what the royals are doing.
It's like, really?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a picture.
Picture of what?
Princess Di. But are there other, besides the lizard people that DPR Jones brought up, are there conspiracy theories rampant in Europe?
I think think there's we've got the popular culture things to do with like the two towers, or the twin towers even falling down, because the two towers are relating to Osgiliath and.
Well, are there any conspiracy theories like in England about like train bombing or whatever that happened a few months ago or a few years ago, like the subway bombing and the bus bombing?
I'm just trying to think. I mean, I don't think that because we've had the history with the IRA terrorism, we're not quite so inclined to think of conspiracies when there is a terrorist attack. You know, because we've got the cultural and historical experience of having genuine terrorism before the Islamic stuff kicking off, or the Islamic related stuff, should I say. I feel really, really dumb for not knowing off the top of my head what conspiracies. I mean, I know there's the general misinformation stuff that happens every so often. And I know there was a lot of people concerned that when CERN was turned on, or the Large Hadron Collider at CERN, that the Earth would get sucked into a black hole.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was a kid, there was, with Schumacher-Levy 9, by going close to Jupiter and the fact that something was going to happen there, everyone at school was going around, oh, no, we're going to get hit by a meteorite. But...
Well, there is the Islamification of Europe, that kind of
there is
conspiracy theory, the EDL and whatnot.
Yeah, there's all that bollocks that goes on.
Yeah, I'm still wondering about the LHC, how exactly small atoms traveling like miles together to smash and produce energy would cause a black hole.
It's people
it just
not
defies all
understanding
physics.
Science. It's, you know, bearing in mind, if public understanding of science is going to be massively dictated by faffy adverts on TV to do with face creams and other things like that, when they get like Boswellox and Bifidus digestivum listed as ingredients in face creams. I kid you not, this is what's been going on in some of the British face cream adverts, and things to do with like, people seeing stuff happening on Star Trek. Although I guess people that are watching Star Trek are going to be a little bit more clued up into real science. Mm-hmm. But I don't think everyone in the public really understands what science is and what it's about.
Well, definitely. Like recently, I was in a taxi, and the taxi driver asked me, "What's my opinion on tsunamis?" And I swear to God, his opinion was, since there is, I think I brought this up before on the chat, but he said that since there was no new mountain ranges, therefore they are nuclear bombing the seabed. Never said why, or never said who they are. That is a genuine conspiracy theorist from a taxi driver.
Wow. Well, that's why he's a taxi driver.
But still, I still didn't feel safe trusting my life in the hands of this man.
Yeah, I'm just having a look now to see if I can find information on UK conspiracy theories. And I'm just trying to link to The Guardian, but that deals with like international stuff, because it talks about Area 51. And interestingly, although I'm reading this without my glasses on, this is a quote from a link on The Guardian. It says, "I'm a little disappointed that more people don't believe that Smurfs are a Hindu conspiracy to prepare kids for the coming of Krishna by introducing them to blue people. An urban legend popularised by the film Slacker. Or that the soft drink Fanta was invented by the Nazis." I'll post a link to this in the chat.
Those are awesome.
But I think that's got to be an epic conspiracy theory of Win, that the Smurfs, bearing in mind they were invented by the Danish or some other Scandinavian country. Yeah.
Stupid Vikings.
Propaganda to prepare kids for the coming of Krishna.
Oh my God.
Colin, why do you torture us today?
Oh, excellent! It's because he's stuck there mostly behind the tech desk running things.
By the way, the Smurfs are from Belgium.
Oh, Belgium. I knew it was some strange continental European country.
Yeah, but it's not Scandinavia.
Nah. Anyway, I've got a link to these. These are the top 10 conspiracy theories according to The Guardian. It's linked in the website I linked to. Number 1, Area 51 exists to investigate aliens. 9/11 was orchestrated by the US government. Woo! Apollo landing was a hoax. Diana and Dodi were murdered, which we've mentioned. The Illuminati secret society Masons are trying to take over the world. Scientologists rule Hollywood. Barcodes are really intended to control people. Microsoft sends messages via wingdings. The US let Pearl Harbor happen. The world is run by dinosaur-like reptiles. I'm posting the link into the Skype thing and into the Skeptic TV. So here we go. Read for yourself. It's ranked in total percentage things. So the first one is like 48, so nearly half of people believe that, and then it goes downhill. And the bottom one is 3%.
Yeah, about Pearl Harbor though, the fact that people think that the United States let it happen is because the United States knew something was coming but didn't know where.
Yeah, you can only prepare so much if you get this general idea that shit's going to happen somewhere. You can't mobilize things to make sure that everywhere's covered fully.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the carriers coming in the Pacific. We just thought they were coming to L.A.
You would think that they were going to mainland.
Mm-hmm. We didn't think to protect a territory out in the middle of the Pacific.
Chunks of Earth has just raised a brilliant question. Has there been any conspiracy theories that are no longer conspiracy theories because they were eventually proven? The one I'm thinking of for that is actually the Roswell crash, because actually a while ago, the first Skeptics in the Pub meeting I went to was all about brain freeze, because the UFOs. But what happened with the Roswell crash is that there was a cover up at the time when all the locals in back in the 40s and 50s and all that were saying there's been a cover up. It's not a weather balloon. They were absolutely spot on. What they were covering up was it was a new bit of kit that they were testing to try and monitor what the Russians were doing with nuclear weapons, and it only got declassified recently. So all the conspiracy nuts still aren't satisfied because they're saying, no, that's not adequate. It was aliens. But when it really actually was just a cover-up to hide this new bit of tech that they were testing out back in the day.
And they came out with that 50 years later?
Yeah, well, they've got to wait for things to be declassified.
Oh, okay.
National security and all that thing.
A couple people pointed out that Watergate was a conspiracy theory that was turned out to be true.
Yeah.
But Skeptical Heretic said the CIA LSD project, but there was another one where the government actually sanctioned infecting certain people in the United States and then seeing what would happen without letting them know what was going on. And they were denying it happened until like 20 years later when it was uncovered. So there was another conspiracy theory that didn't get a lot of traction, but turned out to be true.
What they did with the Tuskegee, what was it again?
Louis, sorry, you sound like you're 100 yards away.
Oh, sorry, I said, isn't that what happened with the whole Tuskegee or whatever?
I'd have to look it up again.
They were giving black people, I think it was either chlamydia or herpes, or I think it was chlamydia, or maybe syphilis or some STD or something. And I don't
without telling them to see what would happen.
Syphilis, according to the people in the chat.
Yeah, syphilis.
Oh, is this what they were doing with people in Africa?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're infecting them with syphilis and the like to study the effects.
But the most recent conspiracy theory that turned out to be true was the News of the World scandal.
Oh, with the phone hacking?
Yes.
Yeah.
They denied it until someone said, hey, here's some proof.
Yeah, because everyone knows that journalists are honest and tell the truth.
We're talking about News of the World, not journalism.
Oh, true. The News of the World couldn't even write to Beano and Dandy standards.
I mean, they made Neff look smart.
And that's saying something.
Yeah. I think, according to Tech Guy, we have someone lined up that could be a caller.
It better not be Oliver again.
Oliver Scott is gone.
So I think we'll give it a shot and see whether or not we're about to get poed. If we're getting poed, we will get Tech Guy to drop him from the call, I think. But we'll get Tech Guy to add him in.
We're giving Scott a shot.
Yes. Yes, we're going to do the Poe risk. Da, da, da.
If I was following you, I'd be on a different name and I'd be doing an accent.
Probably, yeah. So you had a question for us or something to discuss with us.
Yeah, I used to work in an organic health store, and this really attracted a lot of conspiracy theorists from all sorts. Anti-vacciners saying that they would cause autism. HARP did the tsunami to depopulate people. It was like every conspiracy. It was every conspiracy in the book. JFK got killed because he was saying he was gonna, bring this information to light about this Illuminati NWO. So they assassinated him to keep it under wraps. And it was all over. The overall story arc was the Illuminati have a future plan to depopulate people and turn us into a slave race to serve them.
Yeah, I think that's fairly standard with what some of the creationists blather on about from time to time, how the New World Order is out to make us not believe God and accept the rule of Satan or some such.
That's true, yes. I mean, it is the NWO initially is a spin-off of the Revelations, but these people weren't actually religious. They bought into the conspiracy theories, but they weren't Christian. They were quite emotionally disturbed, I felt, and so that's. And I watched a program on Channel 4 about the psychology of conspiracy theorists, and they did some tests, and they just pulled out some conspiracy theorists and some conspiracy theories, I should say, and they asked the people, how likely do you think this is? And the people who answered tended to be people who'd been cheated on or something, or had been discredited by other humans, so they just didn't trust people.
Yeah.
My experience was one gentleman I spoke to who was a really big fan of a thing called the esoteric agenda.
Right.
He'd been he'd had an incident where he'd been stabbed in the head. And it's like there's inner turmoil that's just manifested.
Yeah, so there's possibly the desire to want to believe that there's something else going on. Even if it's not sort of from a religious perspective, the idea of that there's some mystical them out there that are trying to control everyone and get, trying to get at the good people that will fight the good fight to stop them, kind of thing. Because I know you said the message we got through from the Tech Guy was that you were curious about the kind of the psychology of people that believe in conspiracy theories. And I know the Skeptics in the Pub thing where we were talking about, or we had the talk from the UFO guy, we got on to discuss the psychology, and we do think it is very much of a religious kind of base, in that whilst they kind of have motions of looking for evidence and proof that supports their case, it's still their kind of cognitive processes are still very biased towards in the same sort of way we used to dealing with creationists and other people of faith. So despite how much evidence and proof that you could try and show them, or data show them, that actually these things aren't true, they will still believe it, because behind whatever we show them there's another layer where there's some sort of control by the Illuminati or whatever.
That is mostly the case, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, I had a conversation 2 days ago, which was an exception, where this woman believed Diana was dead, and she was very receptive and even very impressed by what I said, because I ran over why I don't really buy into conspiracy theories. I told her how I initially did maybe think 9/11 was an inside job, but when I researched it, I found the proper explanations for, for example, why dust was shooting at the towers.
Yeah.
And such. And I went over all of this research, and she was actually very impressed and seemed very receptive. But she was an exception to the rule. Usually, as DPR Jones has pointed out in videos, when you point out some evidence, they shift the goalpost, and instead of saying, "Oh, you're right, I'll no longer rely on those supposed blasts," in actual fact, it's air. The air being ejected from the Twin Towers. they will never say that. Instead, they'll go to, what about Building 7?
Yeah, I think the thing to bear in mind when you're talking about people that are creationists or conspiracy theorists is that whilst you're always going to have your kind of frothing at the mouth lunatic fringe hardcore believers, there will be those that go with these stories because they've heard a convincing story from someone else that's had the slick talk, had the pretty charts and everything, that's explained their glossy version of it. Whereas actually, if you sit down and you invest the time with them to point out why X, Y, and Z is wrong, and also at the same time not talk down to them or make them feel like they're stupid because of believing in whatever it is, then they will be receptive to the right information, and you do stand a much better chance of turning around to the side of logic, as it were. So it's all about your pitch.
Well, it's their state of mind as well.
Yeah. I mean, you can get the conspiracy theorists that are stark raving bonkers, but you can also get the conspiracy theorists that, aside from the few wacky beliefs, they're not that touched in the head, so to speak. Does that answer your query? I don't know whether or not anyone else has got anything.
Nope.
No? Are we going to have one of our classic awkward pauses?
Well, I was gonna say that I was one of those people because, like I mentioned earlier, I used to believe the whole 9/11 truther thing when I was a younger kid, and I thought that, or I saw that loose change video, and I think it's precisely for the reason Womble did. These people are like, oh, this makes a whole lot of sense. This is how you do it, etc. And they explain it very professionally, and they make it sound possible. But once you get sat down and they're told why the conspiracy theory claims are ridiculous, those people will be like, oh, okay.
I know. It's one thing I was talking about with. I've got a friend, Rabbit Pirate, actually from League of Reason, he's doing a psychology degree, and I was discussing with him at some point, I can't remember when, about how essentially when a number of people that are skeptics, when they were teenagers, seem to get very much into conspiracy theories a little bit. And it's that whole kind of mindset of questioning. I mean, obviously, while you're a teenager, you're still learning the basic facts about the world, so you might be more prone to believing or going with things like ghosts and that. But the key thing is with those is you're questioning what people are telling you, and then as some of those people get older, they do tend to turn into skeptics because they've questioned those things that they were thinking about and realize actually they were wrong, if that makes sense. Kind of the training phase.
There's a dozen people here. Someone's going to say something.
I know. I think everyone going to sleep. I mean, we could be in danger of having DPR calling in.
Oh, hell no.
Well, he's very good at keeping a structure, actually.
Yeah.
He's really good at keeping it flowing. It'd be interesting, but he's dominating.
Well, no, we usually flow a lot better than this, to be honest. I don't know why all the boys are asleep.
Well, half of us is sick.
Well, yeah, I've got a cold, yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm not afraid to don't have anything else to say. I already added my bit. Blame everyone else for not being.
Yeah, everyone else is gone to sleep.
I blame Blue, as always.
I think what we'll do is we'll thank Oliver for calling in and not being a Poe. So that's reward for us trusting him. He's not got a Poe. And I think we've another caller lined up with.
Sorry.
Yeah, we've got another caller coming in with a question to do with Osama bin Laden.
Awesome.
So if we can get, it's got a question. It says, I have a few questions about Osama's death and whether or not it should be classed as it. Okay, so we're getting him into the call. I'm not quite sure what he'd prefer us to refer to him as. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. What's your question? Because you said you've got a few questions. So what would you like to start with?
Yes, I'd like to know if the death of Osama bin Laden should
God
be
damn it.
classified
Oliver.
as a...
Jesus Christ.
Stop laughing at me!
I think we'll just get DPR in, shall we?
You know,
Dress this person up in a schoolgirl's outfit and let DPR have their way with them.
Yeah.
oh well.
Yeah, disconnect, thank you. Okay.
Well,
Right.
better late than never.
Please do.
I mean, I don't know if anyone on the call has heard any of the anyone in the blog TV chat has heard any conspiracies to do with Osama's death, or whether or not there are any. Does anyone know of any conspiracies?
He was frozen and thawed.
What?
I've had a brain fart. Was that just so that we could hear it?
I'll switch headsets.
Well,
We're
so
going to have a
number
tech
6.
guy. The voice of the tech guy.
Another horrible Dutch accent. Be
Yeah,
prepared,
yeah.
people.
Yep, Dirty Hollanders United.
There is this conspiracy where people say, this is actually one that's spread by Alex Jones, is that the body of Osama was actually thawed. He was killed earlier. And this was an opportune moment for something to further the popularity of Obama. I'm not quite sure on the details, but his main thing was that Osama was already killed and his body was thawed, and that was presented. That is what was presented.
So basically, yeah, we had an
These
Osama
people on
popsicle.
Smack or something?
Hey, but
Probably.
bear in mind,
Come on,
Alex
Alex
Jones is
Jones.
the guy that said nerds are dangerous because they got so harassed in school that they must be going evil on us now that they're adults. Never mind the fact that they're probably laughing their tits off in their high-powered tech jobs, earning lots of money and getting girls that way.
Oh, by the way, everyone,
Yes.
I'm putting this in the little chat title thingy.
Yes.
I just thought you might all enjoy that.
What have
I
you
made it.
linked to? What am I clicking?
You'll see. It's a true story of what happened yesterday. And one of my
Well,
readers-
I'll have to read it later. So, personally, I think that's just a load of faff, that story of the Obama popsicle. No, Osama popsicle even.
Obama popsicle.
That's a very good picture of Mr. Jones. I like it. Yeah, I think it's just sounds completely ludicrous and unfeasible. It's a sort of story that some desperate hack of a journalist might come up with. Whether or not Alex Jones is one of those, I don't know, but it sounds like the sort of thing a poor excuse of a journalist would come up with. I don't know what the boys would think.
I like Pink Unicorn's comment.
What did yeah. He must have been in the special secret New World Order freezer in the back of the White House for a few months just to.
Yeah. DPR will have you in, but you have to send a message to SkepticTV.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just SkepticTV.
You know how this works.
Yeah. You got to message the right channels, otherwise we'll just ban you from the Skype.
God, such a prissy person.
Oh, by the way, Womble, did you just imply that all women are whores?
When did you imply that?
Well, you said that the nerds make a lot of money and they get the women that way.
No, because they make a lot of money so they can buy nice things to impress ladies with. Plus, girls do like intelligent men.
With money.
Yeah.
Well, the geeky girls are going to be, just as teched up as the geeky boys, and the nerdy boys, so they'll enjoy the techie company. Trust me, I'm a girl geek. I know how these things work.
Ah, okay.
You're a girl.
Yes, intelligence. Yes, I'm a girl. I have boobs to prove it.
Are you as geeky as like Bionic Dance? More rational.
I don't know. I don't know what her level of geek is.
Are you geekier than Felicia Day?
I don't know what her level of geek is exactly.
Oh God, you don't?
I know she's a geek.
Watch
They're
theguild.com.
moobs, skeptical heretic. Okay, they're not boobs, they're moobs. If required to, I'm physically capable of lactating a fat guy with moves can't lactate.
I lactate every night.
Whether or not their mammary tissue is developed. Fat guys generally don't have developed mammary tissue. I do, as a girl.
I lactate from my penis.
That's from her role on Dragon Age Origins.
Yeah, but don't forget, I'm a laugher. I've got a substantial amount of LARP kit in the garage. I've spent a few £100 on armour and weapons. I have a real bow. It's just my arrows aren't real. But we're off the track of conspiracy theories now. So is DPR mouse calling properly or not?
Nope, but I can add it.
I'll go on then, add him to Tech Die. Let's stop him whinging and moaning, because you know he's just going to moan all the time.
Well, before
yes,
you get
you can
in...
have a reasonably long acronym if you have a question for us. Oh, is that Puppy Turtle?
Coming back
you
to...
could come into our chat as the normal name.
Wumble.
Yes, sorry.
The list of 10 conspiracies you talked about.
Yes.
Number 6. Scientologists rule Hollywood. I thought that was the Jews that rule Hollywood.
They do it in tandem.
It's interchangeable.
Yeah, I think I don't know how much truth there is in that, but I know there's a lot of Hollywood that has gone Scientologist, hasn't there?
Yeah.
So that there's
Well, we do have CPR
they
on
do
the
seem
call.
to be very controlling.
Hello, Dr. Philip Mason.
Do we have we have Dr. Philip Mason in the call. Wow.
Deepak Jones.
He made all this fuss about coming on the show, and now he's not going to say.
Sorry, give me a second. You called me too quickly. I'm just getting my headphones sorted out.
You wanted to be on the show.
I thought you'd have been frothing at the mouth to get in on the action.
He's finishing
It's like I want to tell that woman to get in my kitchen.
He's finishing with the 12-year-old.
Oh,
that's a little too
I think it's a conspiracy that I'm Dr. Philip Mason. Who is he?
I don't know.
I don't know, but you have the same accent as him.
Yeah.
I don't actually. This is really odd, and this is one of the reasons I can't understand why people ever confused us, even before they saw
You're
my.
guessing that there's a large percentage of the population of any country that is stupid.
Well, yeah, particularly over the pond, but no, I mean there's a very, very distinctive difference in our.
Oh, yeah,
accent.
completely.
And he's got a way of saying a sort of like the S sound in a very Sean Connery sort of way, which always stands out to me and is completely different to me. And obviously now people have seen us. I'm incredibly handsome and good looking, and he's a hairy hippie. But I can't understand why people confused us.
Anyway, you had a question or something?
Yeah, I wanted to discuss the issue of why people believe, and I think the point that you raised had a degree of validity in it, but is only one aspect of a much more complex picture. When I was, before I went to Dublin, I was hoping to be able to discuss the issue of why people believe in conspiracy theories, and I spent a lot of time looking into it. And it's very difficult to find out anything particularly constructive. For example, I spoke to Chris French, who's a professor of psychology in London, and I've actually seen him on television programs speaking very confidently about conspiracy theories and why people believe in them. So it was somewhat of a shock when I actually spoke to him personally, and I said, okay, point me in the right direction for research that's been done on it. And he said, well, I can't. There hasn't been any. And there's been very little research, and that has been done seems only to come up with some very, very basic principles. He did say that he'd put me onto one of his PhD students who was actually researching into it, but unfortunately I've never heard from them, so I don't know how that research is going. But the only principle seems to be that when you have a big event, such as the assassination of the president, people find it very difficult to believe that such a monumentous event could have such a simple cause, like a lone gunman. So they create this much bigger cause involving a huge conspiracy. The second aspect that seems to be identifiable is that there is a lack of trust in authority. But apart from that, there doesn't seem to be too much else. Now, I've just ordered Michael Shermer's latest book, Why People Believe, in which he apparently discusses why people believe in all sorts of things, from religion to conspiracy theories and other things. So I'm hoping that somewhere in that there may be some greater insight. But I do think it's a very interesting question. I just wondered what people thought, the necessity to believe in conspiracies. Oh, sorry, maybe a third aspect is that those that believe in these things think that they are in possession of some greater truth than others, and that, in my view, is quite similar to religious beliefs. Those that are religious think, "Well, I know the real truth. I know this," and you can see a sort of parallel in relation to that to conspiracy theories. But thoughts, please.
Well, shit, if you would have, stopped after one, we would have had something to say. I think you've covered everything. Predominantly, those are the only reasons why I think people believe in conspiracy. Yes, there's definitely the aspect of, I know something that you don't know. I am much more wise than you are. So, maybe you need to become more enlightened like me. Also, I definitely think they don't want a simple explanation for things. I don't think they can believe that Lee Harvey Oswald by himself killed John F. Kennedy. They don't want to believe that 19 guys who lived in the mountains of Afghanistan could fly a bunch of planes into buildings. I just think that too much for people to want to believe, so they choose, it was a conspiracy. The government had something behind it, or else it would be too easy.
Yeah, I think
fear plays into it too.
Yeah, it's the comfort factor, as DPR said. If something really big's happened, like a president or any political leader's been shot, and people are thinking, how can this happen? How can just if someone slip through a tiny chink? Because that's all it takes, is a small chink in the protective workings to keep that person safe, and it's it's to help. I think it's best saying it's helping them make sense of this monumentous occasion that it can only have happened if some big evil wanted this person dead. This person was on the verge of doing something right for us, and particularly if it was a popular political leader, it would be a case of they would be seen as someone that was trying to protect the public interest. And so the big evil bad new world order style thing came along, politician that they didn't like, then it would just be considered as being them getting their just.
I think we lost Womble.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
Speaking.
Yeah, I think
going to say something.
I think that. Sorry, was someone going to say something?
I was commenting on the pause. Sorry.
Okay, I'll carry on. I think that I think there's another aspect to it which is interesting, and that is, and again, I think this is a comparison you can draw with religion. They become so invested in their beliefs, in their conspiracy theories. Obviously, they go out seeking evidence to support their view, as opposed to letting the evidence take them to a conclusion. And in doing so, they become utterly dishonest. Mention was made before about the collapse rates and how they didn't fall at free fall speed, which is something that I've identified many times in some of my videos. Yet in loose change, you get them stating it in loose change 2, you get them stating it in loose change 3. They actually do, to be fair to them, they do modify it slightly and say that they fell at almost free fall speed. So they have changed it a little bit. But it seems to me that in the same way as sort of like you get the Ray Comforts being utterly dishonest about evolution, you get the likes of Dylan Avery being utterly dishonest about the facts and the information that's contained in loose change. And it seems that they are so desperate to believe in this, they become utterly clouded. Do you think they're being consciously dishonest?
I'd say partially yes and partially. I'd say it depends on the person. some people are deliberately misinformed, and then there are those that do have access to the facts, but would taint them in a way that would support their claim. So I'd say it'd be both yes and no.
Yeah,
sorry,
and there's this beautiful quote from Bertrand Russell, who says the whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are always so certain of themselves, but wiser people so full of doubts. And I think that perfectly sums it up.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with that. It's the whole kind of certainty aspect that they have about what they're saying, about their various ideas.
Yeah.
But I think you're putting the egg before the chicken, or the other way around. I'm not sure. Why is it that they require this certainty?
I think it's probably just due with the thing of the power it gives them. If they think that they're right, if they're right and everyone else is wrong, then that must make them someone important, and that bolsters their self-image to an extent. I don't know if the guys would agree with that or not. And as Topple Gods just said, it's called apologetics.
Yeah. I've also seen quite a few people who weren't completely on their rocker. You could show them like mounds of evidence, and they would think that the mounds of evidence was clearly proof that there is a conspiracy to try to get other people to believe in the facts of life. And the more information you find that backs up a claim, the more they refuse to believe it. And I have no idea why that mentality is out there, but I mean, they just can't accept any official story. They can't accept any facts. They have to believe in something for which there is no facts. And if they're ever shown that what they believe in is true, they have to modify it so it's no longer true.
Well, I think that raises I don't know, I think it's fairly basic. People, it's a part of human psychology that you don't like to admit that you're wrong. And if you are faced with an overwhelming degree of evidence, most people become initially very stubborn and defensive. Hopefully, or I would hope that most of them would then subsequently, if not publicly, privately consider what they've been told and think, oh shit, you know what, I was so totally wrong about that. Then if they do reach that conclusion, they've got a problem, because they're going to consider it an embarrassment to actually come out and say, I was wrong. Whilst actually that is a wonderful thing to do. And it's a very liberating thing to do, and it completely deflates your opponent's, it doesn't deflate it, but it ends the issue. Yeah, I was wrong. You know what? I was totally wrong. I accept what you're saying. Wonderful thing to do, but it seems that the stubbornness and intransigence of the conspiracy theorists, again, you can compare it to the religious, don't really allow them to do that. And I think that I can understand why the more and more evidence that is placed before them, the more stubborn and reticent they become, and defensive that they become. I think that's just an unfortunate aspect of human psychology and nature.
Yeah, there was a recent XKCD comic, too, that really touched on this, where somebody was ranting 9/11 was an inside job. There's no way that jet fuel could get hot enough to melt steel. And the other person talks to him and says, well, what about the chemicals that were on the plane to produce the chemtrails? He goes, what? Oh. It's like if you play two different conspiracy theories against each other, what can you say?
Oh my God. Do that often. Get a couple of conspiracy nuts to fight against.
That would be an interesting discussion to listen in on.
Can people actually read that?
Read what?
Oh, the picture on Block TV. That Colin put up. Ah, well.
Okay, we've got a link.
You were asking before about the conspiracy theories in relation to Osama.
We're offline.
We're offline? Okay, I'll pipe down for now. Tell me when we're back on, and then when I can talk again.
Are you sure we're offline? Because I still see the video.
Are we back? Thumbs up if you can hear us, ladies and gents, because my brain's gone a little bit splooey. Yeah, someone's saying yes. So are we able to let DPR speak again, or should we just keep him gagged and muzzled for now?
Well, we can give an example of what he's talking about, because I have a nice example lined up. And
Shoot.
we don't really like talking about this guy, but Nephilim 3. I don't know if you remember a video that I think he posted like a year and a half ago about the Nephilim. He contacted a museum asking where they stored the bones of supposed Nephilim that were stored there. And he got an email back, and it came basically down to this: what the fuck are you talking about? And then Nephi said, aha, you see, they're trying to hide the evidence. And he's saying the complete opposite of what the woman on the other end actually suggested. And yeah, it's just mind-boggling. I can't wrap my mind around it, how stupid this guy is.
Yeah, and his only proof is he's seen pictures on the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we've seen those pictures of those giant skeletons on that supposed dig, and they are completely and utterly photoshopped.
Yeah.
Not even in a really high-tech way to make you think, actually, yeah, they've put some time and effort into that Photoshop. It's really badly done.
And then there was this video.
God, Colin.
What? Oh. And what did he do?
Stop posting that picture.
What picture did he post? My feed froze.
Yeah, mine as well.
Oh. I see the picture.
That's sick.
He knows that you boys like it so much.
Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think Lewis is going to go barf now.
Yeah. Oh, there we have a picture of the Nephilim. Supposed Nephilim. But I guess we already talked about that in another show.
Except you can tell that you can tell from in the image that the skull is closer to the camera than the guy. You can tell that shit is shoot or is set up that way. You can tell very obviously the depth that the skull is closer to the camera than the man is, which is why the skull is
it's kind of like how I'm sorry. It's kind of like how they filmed the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, false perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there was it's actually, this picture's reminded me of a joke that was done by a group of paleontologists, I think, or at least they were pretending to be paleontologists, and it was they'd made this fake fossil thing. They'd set up, they'd made a cast and done it specially, so it was some sort of dinosaur creature made to look as if it had been fossilized trying to eat a human, and it's done the internet rounds, and I can't remember the name of it or anything, but it was put out and specifically to fool people, and it did, and I believe it had all the creationists kind of frothing at the mouth over it, but they later released a website saying how true it was, not how fake it was, even, that they'd spoofed this entire thing.
Yeah, there was also the cephalopod that lives in like evergreen trees in the state of Washington.
Yeah.
They put that up as a fake, and several creationist websites ran with it.
Well, isn't that what happened in Jurassic Park when the T-Rex is eating the lawyer or something? Isn't that what wasn't Jurassic Park a documentary?
No. Go back to your cave.
That's a shame. I wish it was. I wanna see dinosaurs.
You just want to feed lawyers to T-Rexes, don't you?
No, specifically since I want to be a lawyer and I plan on law school, so no, not really, not at all.
I want to have DPR Eden.
Oh, is DPR still in the call?
Yeah, he is.
I've completely forgotten that.
Right.
The people in the blog TV didn't see my smiley face in the Skeptic TV chat.
Called the Circle of Life. Veggies are eaten by children. Children are eaten by DPR. T-Rex are eaten by T-Rex.
Yeah. And
Can I just
T-Rex...
take the conversation back, seeing as you've just been talking?
We've... I was only for your lawyers.
I'm sorry, I only see part of the name, so I'm going to refer to him as Arj, because that's all I can see. Arj raised the point about Nephilim and the video he made, and it's not dissimilar to a further video he made, which showed the email exchange that he'd had with Kenneth Miller. I'm sure you're all familiar with who Kenneth Miller is, and I don't need to explain. Yep. Nephilim posted this exchange, which showed Kenneth Miller becoming increasingly frustrated with the idiocy of Nephi and his inability to understand the concepts, the basic concepts that he was referring to. And Miller's final statement, the final email to him, was along the lines of, "I'm quite clearly wasting my time with you. You are either deliberately ignorant or you are ignorant. I can't tell which, but I'm done with you." And Nephi posted this in a video in which he was sort of like thinking, "Ha, I got you, sporty. You can't answer my question."
Yeah, I remember when it came out.
One of the most brilliant fucking scientists on the planet at the moment has told you that you're a fucking ignorant, sorry, I won't swear, it's not my show, ignorant idiot, and you're claiming this as a victory. Now, I think it's easy with Nephi to identify the fact that he is obviously insane, but that sort of attitude is not dissimilar to a lot of other people who are not quite as clearly insane. I remember having a conversation with someone who isn't around anymore, or doesn't appear to be around anymore, about the formation of the Grand Canyon. And he was obviously arguing as a creationist that it was formed in 5 seconds or something, or maybe a little bit longer.
5 minutes of flood runoff.
5 minutes, maybe, because after Thunderfoot totally tore into Vanapang X when he said the Grand Canyon was formed in 5 seconds. Yeah, that means water was moving 5 times the speed of sound. Yeah. So they're sort of like maybe 5 minutes. But he, I'm not a geologist, and I was arguing from just, I suppose, my basic understanding of.
To be honest, you could just need a general common sense perspective to be able to point out why people like that are just wrong about the Grand Canyon.
Let me just very quickly finish. This conversation went on for about an hour, and afterwards he went on Blog TV and said that he thought, defeated me entirely. And when asked how or why, he said, because DPR Jones said that the Grand Canyon was 600 miles long, and I said, no, it's not, it's only 300 miles long. I got him on that point. And I swear he walked away from that conversation, despite every other statement that he had made had been utterly torn apart. He thought he'd won the argument. This is sort of like confirmation bias gone crazy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, conspiracy people have just as much confirmation bias as the average creationist, so...
Yeah.
We know it's all bonkers, because they are literally going and hunting for anything that confirms what they think.
Well, if you think about it, creationists are conspiracy theorists because they think there's a conspiracy by atheists or people who hate Christians to cover up creationism.
True.
Evolutionists.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's evolutionists.
Evolutionists.
Yeah, they just can't believe that God exists, or they hate God or whatever, so they concoct all these different theories to try to explain away creationism. It's a conspiracy theory gone mad.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just it. Yeah. Speaking of geology, by the way, that
the movie
again,
2012.
No, it was again Nephilim 3. Oh fuck, I hate that guy. But he brings up so much shit that the first thing geologists are actually taught in school is that the flood didn't happen, and they have to deny everything that points to a global flood. That's the first thing.
To be honest,
Since when?
To be honest, go back way back when, to when I did my A-level in geology. The first thing that I was taught was that rocks are made of collections of minerals, and how to identify different minerals and then different rocks. The fact that the flood is bollocks, it's just kind of taken as generally a case of, we now understand Earth history. We know it's very old. people that say otherwise, you can laugh at them. Is kind of the implied thing.
Yesterday,
There was no kind of module on flood denialism.
Yesterday, somebody told me that. Yesterday, told me that Neffy was in somebody's chat room. I will suspect it's probably Shots. And he said that he said something along the lines of, I'm fairly certain that most doctors, most physicians, if they were polled privately, as in they wouldn't have to give their name because their quote unquote jobs would not be at risk, most of them would say that evolution is bullshit. And I would like to tell my dad that so he could go and pimp slap the shit out of Effie, because I'm not here to ring my family's horn or whatever, but my dad is a fairly good doctor, probably one of the best in the country, and I don't say that just because he's my dad, but because he's been ranked by medical journals as one of the top 250 in the country. And I just think that, wow, that's so fucking stupid. As a cancer doctor, because that's what he does, you have to accept the theory of evolution, and just as a doctor in general, because viruses and other diseases mutate and all that they can't be killed off as easily.
But you can still be a creationist doctor because it's variation
Sorry,
from kind. Sorry,
I don't know whether you're looking at the chat. I think this is an interesting question, and it's something that I looked into, but obviously from a very outsider's point of view. Somebody's asked how are rocks created, and is it not volcanoes that create rocks? Sammy G.
I've just clicked into chat.
There is a rock cycle, isn't there?
I mean,
that'd be an interesting thing to talk about. Tell us about rock cycle and how rocks are formed.
Okay, well, if I was ever asked to teach about the rock cycle and the way it works, is I think the logical place to start would be igneous rocks, because it's formed from material. They form from material that's melted. So it's molten material. It cools. It can either cool inside the earth or outside the earth if it's extruded at a volcano. And the way it works, the rock cycle works, is that once the material is on the surface of the earth, it undergoes the processes of weathering and erosion. Now, weathering is when it's broken down without being moved, and erosion is the process of it moving away. You've then got the material transported, then you have sedimentation, where it's deposited. And so the next sort of logical part of the rock cycle, or the group of rocks, is the sedimentary rocks, because they form from the bits of rocky material settling down in a variety of ways. Some are deserts, so aeolian. You've got a lot of different types of watery environment. You've got some terrestrial environments that aren't aeolian, so you'll have like glacial deposits. And so the material gets deposited. You then have it potentially over time going down to depths within the crust. Now, what will happen is you'll go and there's a process called diagenesis, which is the sediment turning into a rock. Now, that's just at the very top end of metamorphism. If you go down much deeper than that, you start to metamorphose the rock. So that's when we get the metamorphic rocks. Now, from here, this is when we start putting things back up, because you have a sedimentary rock, a sediment forming, deposited, undergoes the diagenesis so it's compacted into rock, and then it can be exposed to the surface again, where you'd have weathering and erosion and transportation putting it back through the system. And then if a rock's taken a little bit deeper, it's metamorphosed and eventually can come back up to the surface, and goes and through the weathering and erosion process again, or it could be metamorphosed a bit more later on. There's lots of funky stuff that can go on in depth within the crust.
Now,
and
can't some rocks be made from living or dead living tissue?
Yeah, that's bioclastic, if I'm remembering correctly. So when you've got the sedimentary rocks, you can, of course, get fossils. Now, we can have fossils that are the remains of hard parts that have been preserved, and there's also trace fossils, so the footprints of fossils in like casts of burrows and the like. But if I quickly go back to the rock cycle, the metamorphic rocks, if they're subjected to enough heat and pressure, they can melt and then become new igneous rocks. So, yeah.
So you're basically saying rocks are created?
The material is cycled through the system.
Yes, but how did it get there in the first place?
You're
talking about
you pinheads. You come up with these ideas, but how did
we're talking about the accretionary process. Goes back to the origin of the solar system.
On a slightly different issue, going back to something we were talking about before, the conspiracy theories about Osama bin Laden. It's not the site that I found 6 months ago, which had some top 10 conspiracies. This was like the day after he'd been killed, and already there was sort of like on the internet there are 10 favourite conspiracy theories. And the only site I can find now has got the top 20. And I'll run through them very, very quickly, not all of them. The top one is the raid to kill Osama was trying to distract from Obama's birth certificate. I think those names are uncannily similar. Anyway, the second one is a photo of bin Laden's body was circulated online. It's fabricated, blah, blah, blah. His body was buried at sea to dispose of evidence. That's already a conspiracy. Since he wasn't killed, there was no burial at sea. And these are really boring ones. Announcement was time to embarrass Donald Trump by interrupting Celebrity Apprentice. Strike actually happened a week before the announcement. Bin Laden's been dead since 2001. His body has been frozen since 2001. He's been hiding in... the fact that he was hiding there is a pretext for invading Pakistan. The Pakistani government had him in custody the entire time. The Pakistanis carried out the raid. America is taking the credit. The raid was meant to trigger reprisals for Islamic history, blah, 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 and World War III or something. It was his body double. May the 1st was also the day of the death of Hitler. So I don't know quite how that fits in. Government claims it compared bin Laden's DNA with that of his sisters, who supposedly died at Massachusetts hospital. That hospital denies they were ever there. Benazir Bhutto said that bin Laden was already dead shortly before she was assassinated. Sorry, I've missed one. No, I haven't. He's still alive, working in conclusion with the CIA to plot another terrorist attack against the United States. There never was, this is number 18, there never was an Osama bin Laden. 19 is President Obama and Osama bin Laden are the same person. And 20 is just Photoshop. I swear the previous ones were much better than that. But there you go.
You can certainly say one thing about conspiracy theorists. They're good for a laugh.
Mm-hmm. They've certainly got a wild imagination.
Yeah, it's just interesting thing is, the question is, what drugs are they on and can we get some of them?
Yeah.
And I seem to have...
And what's interesting, they have no end. I've just clicked on another site where they've got the top 10 here. They're totally different. This top, 9 actually. It's not Osama. He's been in Texas all along. I must have a word with Aaron about that. I always thought their beards looked similar.
That there's some sort of skinny potion going on.
That's just photoshopping.
Fair enough.
Pakistanis are afraid of the US flipping to India. They gave him up. It's an election ploy to bury the Republicans. You see, if it was an election ploy, he would have done it a year later. He did it too early. They had him targeted for a week, but waited post-wedding to grab the headline. Oh, yeah, of course, it was royal wedding time, wasn't it? The Pentagon has set it up to protect their budget. It's a fabrication to get out of Afghanistan with a bit of faith. The body was kept frozen since Tora Bora, of course, because he was killed in the caves. Well, that was 2001, wasn't it? Bernanke has had the Treasury gunmen do some quality. I don't understand that. 9, any combination of the above. So that's another side. So yeah, I mean they're endless. I mean, just bung in conspiracy theories, Osama, and you get pages and pages of them.
I'm sure we could go around and find lots of conspiracy theories about all sorts of crazy shit.
Mm-hmm. Jeez.
What?
But going back to CS's point much earlier on, are there any sort of like European-based conspiracy theories? I don't, apart from Princess Diana's death, I'm not sure of any that are based purely here. Obviously, we've got David Icke, who's the head of all conspiracy theories ever, who I think lives on the Isle of Wight, which is obviously part of England, United Kingdom. But apart from him calling the Duke of Edinburgh one of the shape-shifting lizards that rules the world, amongst many other people, I don't think there's anything exclusively here that springs to my mind.
No, I was going to say it's the same thing I had. I couldn't think of anything that I'm aware of that's specifically conspiracy theory based in this country or the continent.
Which again leads me to thinking, are conspiracy theories and the propensity for religious belief the same sort of psyche? Because
I would say that they were.
America, and America is far more religious than most places in Europe. So I don't know whether that is evidence of another connection between the two. I don't know.
Well, whether or not it's evidence, I do think it's very suggestive. I do think it's very compelling to think that there is this kind of tendency for both religion and conspiracies in the same population. I do think it's quite a coinciding thing. Someone's mentioned the July bombings in London. I don't think that I said earlier, I don't think that there's been the same kind of level of hoo-ha over it as there was the attack on the World Trade Center in the United States. Mainland Britain has had to deal with.
I think Kimo has come up with a very, very valid point, and I think I'm going to have to reassess my entire world outlook.
What is this very funny point?
Reptilians agree. American money is green. Yeah, it's all coming together. I agree with you.
This is why British money isn't green.
No, that isn't fair because American money does have other colors in it now.
Yeah, now there must be some.
They're just trying to cover up the conspiracy. Can't you see it? You're just not opening your eyes to Chemo's.
It's you know what it is. It's V. You've got the woman that used to play What's It from Firefly is really a reptilian, and she might be a resistance reptilian, and that's why she's in V, to make people aware.
Blind. Never mind.
Oh. Yeah, it's not the Ripple effect, it's the Ripley effect.
I'm curious, because I'd heard about the Japanese satellite that was going to be orbiting around the moon. And I heard this a couple of years ago, and I've never heard anything about it since. And this was supposed to be able to picture the surface of the moon with sufficient clarity to actually show landing points, and also the things like what's left behind, and including I'll call them mirrors that they bounce the lasers off to keep track of its exact position. I've never heard anything about that subsequently, and the picture that was put up by whoever puts the pictures up on the screen, I'm sorry, that was just not sufficient clarity to make anything out of. But I mean, what is the position?
I think that moon mission one may have lost its funding. There isn't a lot available to spend on space exploration in the grand scheme of things. So it's a case of, if you're lucky, your mission will get funding and approval, and it then goes off to be made and everything.
It's been launched a couple of years ago.
I have no idea. I'll see if I can track something down. I know
it was a Japanese.
I know a lecturer that is quite into the moon and stuff, so I'll see if I can find out from them what information might be available. Just very quickly, Dutch is about to bugger off and leave us all to Dutch.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Smelly, dirty Hollander.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Arjun.
Yeah, okay, have a nice one. Bye-bye.
Lies, we are mining the moon rock, special materials so that new types of weapons can be built. Yeah, okay, if you say so. I'm convinced.
But Jesus Christ is not on form tonight. His insults to me have not been up to his usual standard, and his trolling has been up to his usual standard.
Yeah, if there's anyone that thinks that we've never picture of the moon. Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Yes. Yeah, if there's anyone that says, "Oh, we never went to the moon," the picture that we've got up at the moment, I think I was shown a similar picture of Electra on the moon. You can see the little black squiggly lines that look like something's dragged over the moon. That's probably from the moon buggy when they went there. We can see pictures.
How do we know that was?
No, I'm sorry.
That was human use.
No,
how do we know it was aliens doing that?
I'm sorry. If that was the evidence that was provided to me, and the only evidence
better pictures
provided to me,
there are
I
better
would just
resolutions.
say, you've got to be kidding. Is that the best evidence you've got? Those lines could be where the moon buggy went. It could be all sorts of fucking things.
It's not a whole screen image, so I can't see out on the text. But
That could be an image taken of the surface of a cookie under an electron microscope. It could be anything.
That is not an electron microscope image. I've seen electron microscope images.
All right, just a very large magnified surface of a cookie.
You have to excuse Edgar Jones. He's just a lawyer.
Yeah, he's just a bottom pond feeding lawyer.
He's skeptical of everything.
Yeah, unless it's in his money that he gets from being a dirty lawyer.
Is that better than what Jesus for Christ has been doing?
I just showed the picture tech guys just put up. What on earth is that supposed to show?
Random?
The mirror on the moon shows we have at least sent a thing to the moon. But even the conspiracy loons will say, "Oh no, you're making it up." Yeah.
I think the most conclusive evidence is probably something that's got nothing to do with physical evidence of what's going to the moon, but it's because it happened at the height of the space race, and the idea that Russia was not listening to absolutely every single message that was being transmitted back and forth. If for a moment they could show that America was bullshitting about this, they would have made an absolute field day.
They would have.
And they did nothing.
And also, if you go on YouTube and you search Buzz Aldrin, and punching someone, I can't remember the full details. There is footage of some whack job conspiracy theorist, moon hoaxer, that goes up to Buzz Aldrin and says, "You lied, you didn't land on the moon." Keeps going at him, and Buzz Aldrin slugs him one. He really does.
Oh well, you see, that's because he was getting defensive because he knew he'd been caught out. I don't think that proves anything at all. Apart from he was covering something up, he wanted to shut this person up. I think it's actually supportive of the fact they never got to the moon.
Yes,
if he had nothing to hide, why did he punch him?
Go sit in your corner.
Got a point there.
So has anyone else got any random conspiracy theories that they've heard about that they'd like us to try and attempt to debunk or just chew the fat over? Hicks seems to be quite obsessed with a bunch of numbers, although I'm not sure why.
Yeah, there's something about a John Cusack movie.
Yeah. Well, we've now had 2012, as in the Mayan thing, Nibiru, and chemtrails suggested. I think I haven't heard anything recently about the 2012 thing. There's probably going to be more hysteria over the next few months, I would imagine, as we get closer and closer to the date. There's going to be, I'm going to say that probably yes, that there's going to be some Harold Camping types that go, "It's the end of the world," and try and predict doom and gloom and all the other bollocks.
2012 is
impossible. What's happened to...
It's already happened.
What the other guys think.
Obviously, we should all have been raptured by now. Any news on Harold Camping?
Not that I'm aware of. I was busy all today with stuff and having a cold.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's being quiet for a good reason.
I think hasn't he been very poorly over the last few months?
Yeah, I did a video about him a couple of weeks ago, reminding everyone that, hey, don't forget, this is what he said.
It's Armageddon Day.
It's going to be October the 21st. And he suffered a stroke a month after his failed prediction, and obviously is clearly unwell. And I did think, because he posted this audio on his website, and he's suffered a stroke, and obviously his clarity of his voice isn't as great as it was. And I thought, should I feel sorry about this? Should I actually post this, or am I being a bit cruel? And I thought, you know what? Am I being cruel? This is a piece of shit that makes millions and millions and millions every single year out of gullible idiots who he exploits. And he's come up with this, it's not the first one he's done. It's not the second one he's done. It's the third one he's done. Only thing I hope is that he's still alive now to realise why his prediction has fucked up. And I hope he dies tomorrow.
The amount of people who sold their homes because of what he said.
Yeah,
Some of all their possessions have become homeless because of his.
All those people, I think,
ideas.
fuck them. That's called natural selection. Good. Leave them without homes. If they're that fucking fine.
Well, I'd say, touching on what DPR was saying about how concerned about whether or not he was going to be a bit callous by doing this stuff, I think so long as you're focusing on the message that this guy is putting out and not attacking him personally, go for it. You're not. If it was a personal attack, I'd call you on it. Yeah, you can't attack someone that's ill. But if they've been saying a bunch of rancid shit and you're calling them on the fact that it's rancid shit, then go for it.
Yeah, don't make fun of the Crypt Keeper.
I think he's going to come.
I guess. Sorry, do go on.
I think he's going to come out soon anyway, and as he's done before, and say, "Oh, there's an error in my math. I forgot to carry over the 1 or something." It's just going to continue and continue because he's not going to admit he's wrong, as in the end of the world. He's just going to come up with another bullshit date sometime in the future. So
there are 2 points. Firstly, if he does die tomorrow, then his followers will probably say, they see there's proof of the rapture. He was taken away. But another point, I think you're right. He'll probably come up with another date because, and I can't remember who brought it up, but it suddenly came to me yesterday that it depends which calendar he's using, because the calendar was changed in this country sometime 400 or 500 years ago. I'm very, very vague on the details, but they changed the calendar, and it basically meant that 11 days were lost. And the people at the time were outraged and they revolted, as they always do, and always are. But they revolted because they said, well, if you change the calendar, we've lost 11 days. That's 11 days of our lives that we've lost. So I think it's 11 days. So he'll probably come up with some sort of I forgot about the fact that they've changed the calendar or something like that. I really do hope that he just disappears into obscurity.
What I hope is that it makes some people realise that he's an absolute con man and they stop following him.
He's kind of an icon to how bullshit religion can be, and when I'm saying can be, is. So, in a way, I would disagree that he goes into obscurity. I hope he becomes an icon of just how batshit crazy religion can be.
There's another problem as well, which was raised by Jen on the Atheist Experience, I think in the last show, the one before. I just, what if the rapture doesn't happen? What you'll get is the message that, it was the power of everyone's prayer that saved us from it. You cannot win with these people.
You just cannot.
I like that picture.
Yeah. I mean,
Who did that
DPR,
one?
you've
That's
seen
brilliant.
it too. You've seen it with people like Venom Fang X, where you
Apocalypse
can
with
explain
dummies.
things to them. You can sit down and go, this is what you should do. This is the right thing to do, everything like that. They'll do it for like 3 seconds, then turn around and go, well, I can do it again. People will still believe me. He's doing it again. He's begging for money after everything he's
doing it
told.
much better
And people are like, yeah, well, I'll support you.
Oh yeah, they will support him, but
at least he's being honest.
I have always said, I have never had any problem with him asking for money. If people are stupid enough to give him money, then so be it. But I'll be trying to identify why they're stupid and why they shouldn't be giving him money. But I've got no objection if people want to give him money. That's not a problem.
It's just like,
but at least this time round, he's doing it the right way. He's doing it legally, and he's not stealing from children's hospitals. That's the difference.
Yeah, and of course, last time it was us evil atheists getting on his case for just trying to be helpful, and bless him, he got confused about what he was intending to do.
I think one of the most outrageous lies or statements he came up with in one of his the recent begging video. When he says, I'd like to start taking donations again. I mean, I don't know how stupid he thinks his audience is, but when he came up with the line, in the past things went wrong when I did this before because I promised to give it to this hospital, and because I got lots of nasty messages sent to my address, I couldn't actually give it to that hospital. I had to try and distance myself from it. And I'm sorry, what? Because people knew where you lived, you couldn't actually give it to the hospital that you promised to give it to. I mean, it's just absolute bullshit. I don't know how, as I say, I genuinely do not know whether he is utterly self-deluded or totally dishonest, or a combination of both.
I just think I think there's a large amount of self-delusion in that. I think he doesn't necessarily understand what he did wrong and why it was inappropriate. I do get the impression with him that he doesn't get the difference.
I don't really think he even got donated when he came up that story about people telling him not to donate that money to the children's hospital. I don't buy that for a second.
It's a load of bollocks. I knew someone, I got someone to message him on that very issue. And I think it's included in a video I've done. He didn't message anyone. He asked for people who donated over $20 to get in contact with him. He didn't. He's not said that. He hasn't messaged everyone. It's just another complete and utter lie. And whoever Oliver to the Scot, have I got a crush on him? No, I just think that he's absolutely despicable. And unfortunately, people actually buy into his bullshit. And he uses the same medium and forum that I do. And whilst I'm still making YouTube videos, I will still keep on giving him a fucking pain in the neck, I hope, and pointing out that he is a dishonest piece of shit. But to go back to whether he actually understands what he's doing, I think all I can say is that from my limited understanding, he has, in my view, all the characteristics of a sociopath or a psychopath. It's very difficult to distinguish between the two, but he has all of the characteristics of one of those, and I strongly suspect that he is. And in that case, he lacks the ability for empathy and understanding. He has an outrageous sense of entitlement and arrogance about him. And so, I don't think that he has any remorse for anything that he's ever done. Have you ever seen one genuine apology? I'm not talking about the apology that was forced out of him almost at gunpoint, that he made in relation to Thunderfoot and the DMCAs. He just doesn't have that capacity. And just not only the nonsense, the illegal things that he's done, which he's not apologized for, the nonsense that he's come up with. Have you ever heard him retract his statement that the Grand Canyon was formed in 5 seconds? Have you ever heard him retract his statement that there is not one drop of water in the entire universe except on Earth? Have you ever heard him retract his statement that the moon is so perfectly formed that at a lunar eclipse it perfectly covers the moon when it doesn't? Have you ever heard him retract his statement that the orbit of the Earth is a perfect sphere or even let's be generous to him and say, okay, you meant circle, when it doesn't. Have you ever heard him retract any statement ever, show any remorse ever for anything he has ever done? Statements he's made and wrongdoings he's done. Nothing.
No, usually
This
he
bloke is a
blames
fucking
atheists for taking
sociopath.
it out of context.
Yeah, I think the simplest answer to all of that is no to all of the above. He just doesn't get society. But dragging back to what we should be talking about, because we've got about 20 minutes left. There were two topics that people suggested that for us to tackle conspiracies. There's the Nibiru and then chemtrails, if we've got time.
Okay.
So, Nibiru. Giant, undiscovered planets floating out in space. Comets potentially out to destroy us. What do we all think?
I think that black
If I
holes
may,
are
I
more
know it's
likely
not
to
my
kill
turn.
us than
Just very,
planets.
very quickly, if I may, the ability for science to identify meteorites flying around the solar system and predicting the exact time that they would collide with the planet, I think for them not to also to be able to find planets floating around elsewhere. Well, maybe they're all in conspiracy in the same way as they're in a conspiracy to deny and lie about the fact that the Earth is only 6,000 years old. I don't know. It's just such utter bollocks. Where do you begin with it?
I know. I mean, I was going to comment about the fact that it is just utter rancid bollocks. The way that we would predict. I mean, if it's something like a planet whistling around, it's going to have a gravitational effect on the other planets in the solar system, even if it's on some sort of massive elliptical orbit, and it spends most of its time out of the solar system as it's whizzing around. It's still going to affect the gravitation, the orbits of the other planets at some point. So it's just all honk, is what I think. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if any of the other boys.
Well, it's just learning a little bit about relativity. You'll understand that any planet that close to any other planet will totally screw up the entire solar system. It's just impossible that we can't detect it when it's that close to us.
Yeah, and also in terms of planetary accretion, the planets have when they all accreted, they formed into the disk. So it would have to be some sort of extrasolar planet or body that we captured, and we've got no evidence to suggest that we've ever been close enough to anything to pick up something flying around. And if the physics involved is going for a planet to capture a mu, for our solar system to capture a planetoid body, you'd be looking at it actually being part of a binary system, because that's the only way you can have the orbital mechanics work to capture a body. One would fly off even quicker and the other one would stabilize in an orbit, because that's how Mars captured its 2 moons.
Yeah, but for something the size of a planet, only a star-sized item can move it that bad. I mean, it would take something like the sun or maybe Jupiter a little bit larger for us to capture a planet. Now, if it's a meteor or comet, something like that, I can understand. But
it's all bollocks.
Plus, I think Pluto is the most that's off the plane, isn't it? I don't think we have any comets or meteors orbiting the sun that are that far off the plane.
I don't know off the top of my head.
You've got the Oort cloud.
Yeah, the Oort cloud is further out. It's got the debris from the remnants of the solar
Have we
system
actually
formation.
found the Oort cloud, or do we just assume it's still there?
Well, if you listen to Ken Hovind, we've never seen it. But I'm not entirely sure that we have. So he may have a point there.
I know it's at least theoretical that it's there, and that there is some form of evidence or lines of evidence that suggest that it does exist. Shall we move on to chemtrails?
Yeah, chemtrails are fun.
Yeah. What do we think of chemtrails, boys?
Chemtrails are bullshit conspiracy theory.
Yep.
Yep. Pretty much it. Bullshit.
I mean, seriously, there's a lot of private carriers out there. They don't have a lot of room. They're already hurting for money to try to take cargo, take extra fuel, just in case there's something wrong at the airport. They have to make an emergency stop somewhere. They're not going to load up with extra chemicals, and the chemicals that would cause stuff to be output into the air could possibly harm the engines themselves. They don't want that either. So I don't know why these carriers, these private carriers, would even think of doing this experiment with the U.S. government. As far as planes like jets, well, again, why would the government put jets up there with personnel who would then talk about what they're doing? It just doesn't make sense.
The amount of people that would need to be in on it is ridiculous, considering the amount of carriers, planes that are out there.
Mm-hmm. The easiest explanation is it's water vapor that is crystallizing because it is so cold and so light of an atmosphere that high up that they form trails behind the planes. There's nothing else in them that we need to be worried about.
Yeah, it's just the water's, as you're saying, freezing up, and it's the way it's refracting the light at at our height on the ground. I'm just being really naff with my cold, sorry.
Yeah, they're tiny little prisms.
Well, I think Shadi Spike 2 did an excellent job of debunking this whole crap about chemtrails.
Yeah. Shadi Spike has done quite a few good videos on conspiracy theories.
And I'm not sure if Martimer81 is going to be discussing this on his conspiracy theory series.
Yeah. But then again, it might be the chemicals for the chemtrails that cause the towers to fall because of the extra heat possibilities that they had mixed with the jet fuel.
Well, I have a new theory about the collapse of the Twin Towers. I think that my initial theory that it was termites maybe needs slight amendment. I think it might have been penguins.
Yeah.
Or maybe a possibility of a combination of penguins working in alliance with termites.
Now, did anyone see the penguins in the Central Park Zoo on 9/11?
I didn't see them.
No response.
No, I don't live in the United States.
Aha! Proof.
What? Lunatic.
Yes, Pink Unicorn, they are. I mean, they get so jealous of their foul friends who can fly that they actually do hijack airplanes.
Someone's been watching Madagascar too much.
How do you know it's not a documentary? See, no response to that.
I did respond. I'm just trying to do something.
Oh, now there's a campaign to keep DPR away from penguins.
Well, I might listen to it if you could actually
Probably a good
campaign.
Yeah, but I would just like to know what exactly the chemicals are in the chemtrails that these people think are mind-altering or mind-controlling. What could it be that wouldn't burn up, would come out with the exhaust, would crystallize with the water, and fall safely to Earth without anyone being able to test it?
Magnets. Fucking magnets. How do they work?
See, Colin proves my point.
Really, how does one dirty Hollanders prove your point?
Yes. He shows a picture of a penguin hijacking a plane.
Just smile and wave, boy.
That's proof enough for me.
Just smile and wave.
Remember, Womble, we don't always have to have the pose on the phone call. What was next on the list of conspiracy theories?
I know.
Oh, the FEMA trailers? Actually, there's, from what I understand, there are studies being done now on those who were displaced from New Orleans and seeing whether or not they have a better chance or better socioeconomical choices to make in their new locations. So apparently there's a government or a nonprofit study going on to measure how these people are doing now that they've been displaced from New Orleans. So that fuels the fire that's the government purposely let Katrina hit.
I may just go back to that
Anyone
point
would
that you
do
just
that.
raised, CS. I think it's actually quite instructive. You say, what chemicals could they possibly be? The one benefit of conspiracy, or a lot of conspiracy theories, is that they are utterly vague. They don't give any specifics at all, and therefore it is very difficult to counter them. Ideas must be distinct before reason can act upon them. And this is where the 9/11 truthers have fucked up, because they've made specific factual claims which are very easily disprovable. But with the chemtrail people and others, and even JFK, whatever you like, it's all very vague. Oh well, somebody was responsible for this, and whatever. And it's like religion, again, it's just vague platitudes, and until they come up with a specific fact. I mean, I remember, for example, when Nephilim finally came out with his Lunu Bukaki hypothesis, it was like, I remember being in a call with Thunderfoot at the time, and it was like, great, he said, absolutely fantastic. Now I've got a fact I can work with. He stated a fact, and I can debunk it. Until that point, it was just vagueness, waffle, as I say, platitude. And this is how they get away with it. They paint a picture and allow people to fill in the gaps themselves. That's the problem with them. That's why they are so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, but that's exactly what the claims about the Bible are. The Bible isn't very specific on many things, and what it is, we can easily debunk if it's wrong. But when it's vague, it's like, well, this and this and this. Well, how does that make sense? No, I meant this. I mean, there's just so much wiggle room that they don't have to pin anything down.
Yeah, because they're vague. They can just slide past anything.
Yeah. But it's the world's most supreme science textbook. Ugh. So what was next?
I think we've done it. I think we've covered the last few points that I can remember.
With
we
7
have a
minutes
few
left.
minutes of 7 minutes. What we're going to talk about?
So this December, Womble, what's going on?
Well, in December, we are hopefully going to have a really funky charity event. We've got a few confirmations coming in of people saying that they're definitely coming in. We've got D. Landon Cole has said yes. We've got the awesome Chunks of Earth, who's in our chat right now, has said he's up for coming in and helping us. Someone else has said yes, but I can't remember who. We're chasing up repeat things. And we're going to be brilliant. We're going to raise lots of money for a really good cause, and hopefully it's going to be awesome. And there might even be a chance to get hold of some goodies.
Ooh, whose goodies?
I don't know. Depends on who gives us some stuff. I've got a box of chemistry wonderfulness actually, and I'll put the details up of that when we get closer to the event. We're going to have sound organising our auction, Also, if you've got suggestions about who you think might be a good person to have, send them to Sound as well. The contact details are on the site, www.skeptictv.net.
There you go.
There we go. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yes. And we're going to do 12 hours again, folks.
Yeah, 12 hours. It's our magic number. If we're come the end of the 12th hour, if we're still rolling, we might continue for a little longer.
Can we invite Effie?
No.
He was
No.
part of the
I mean,
original
Neff's
fallout.
allowed to come to the chat. I don't think we're going to bring him back into the call because I think that many people yelling for 12 hours straight was just bad on everyone.
No, but if you can think of some interesting things you'd like to hear us talk about, it doesn't have to be our usual fare. If you'd like to suggest some interesting topics, or as I said, suggest some interesting YouTubers to have on, we're certainly keeping our eye out, and we'll consider any suggestions from our audience. Particularly
we need people in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, because just anyone interesting in general.
I've got a suggestion.
Go on then, DPR.
I think it'd be. I think a lot of people would flood to see this person actually do a live blog TV. Is no God. Thought of him?
Possibly. You wouldn't
We're getting
necessarily
trolled
been
in our
top of
call.
our list. But we might have the troll challenge. Maybe it's an idea.
I'll tell you
of
what.
something.
If you invite Is no God on, I'll come along and co-host with him.
Excellent. Okay, that sounds like a plan. So do you reckon you'd be open to help us doing this, DPR?
Sorry?
Do you reckon you'd be up for doing something to help us with this?
Yeah, you get Isno on. I'll be there with Isno.
Okay, excellent. Sorted. It's a date. We'll get Isno God on, and we'll get you on, and it'll be fantastic.
I think he's quite a shy person. I'm not sure he'd be willing to.
I'm sure
if you get him on, I'll come along and he can co-host me.
Brilliant. We can hold each other's hands and skip together.
Can we pin you down to add something to the donation pool?
For our auction?
I'm not sure how many bras I've got.
What about your white van?
I can't. That's part of my trade. I can't get if I lost my white van. How would I conduct my business?
There's a good one. How about a well-used teddy bear?
Or just have a look around, see if you can find something, and let us know if you could, or give us something for the auction.
This is for the Secular Student Alliance, which is a very good group.
I've got great tips.
Is that real, or is it just tissue paper? Anyway, there's one other thing that we've got, as well as announcing our December fun and antics and all that jazz related to it. In a very short while, there's going to be, literally, once we're ending, they adjusted their show time to fit in with us. There's going to be the Gin and Tonic show starting pretty much straight after us. I've put the link up in Blog TV. As the title, and they're going to be tackling general religious silliness, mostly to do with Islam, and discussing that sort of stuff.
It's got that Islamophobic fucking rationalist bloke on it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's something like the rationaling, I don't know, something like that. Some smelly Brit-like person, possibly. I don't know.
He's a right one. Oh shit, my mic's full.
I'm sure it's going to be interesting. I'm going to go see whether or not my blog TV will play ball with me and let me actually listen to it, because it tends to freeze up on me when I try and watch any blog TV.
All right, well, thank you very much for having me. It's been great fun.
Thank you
for being on. Yeah.
What's our show in 2 weeks about?
I don't know. I haven't checked the blog recently. Tech guy, give a voice in my ears to tell me, and I will repeat it. What's our show on in 2 weeks?
Penis.
We're doing morality.
Morality
yes, that's
in
it.
2
We're
weeks.
doing it up the bumhole.
Same time, same place, and this time
lots of lube.
Womble will be topless.
Yes, I'll be as topless as you like. Just don't expect the webcam to go on.
Now you ruined the plan.
I had an idea for the charity event. You guys can be talking, and you guys can be showing me taking naps. I think that'd be funny. You guys can see my sleeping patterns.
Well, let's do our sign-offs. Thank you again this week, Kitch, for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Blue Juggernaut, if you're still here.
I have no idea where
He must
I
have
am.
fallen into his beer.
Lewis for starting to host.
Hello, and
Womble
goodbye.
for finishing the host. Our Skeptic TV tech guy, Colin, who can't talk. He says goodbye. And this is me signing off, CS Bear, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks, everyone.